Why men and women cannot live without each other. People like to say that they can be happy alone, that they don't need anyone, that relationships are an option, not a necessity. Sometimes this is true, but more often than not, it is a learned defense mechanism. Because if we are completely honest, it becomes obvious that men and women are not just drawn to each other. They are wired in such a way that they cannot stand being alone for long, not because of weakness, but because of differences. From an early age, men learn to be goal-oriented. They are taught to move forward, to take the blow, to not stop. Their value is almost always measured by action. What you have done, what you have achieved, how useful you are. But almost no one teaches him to stop and ask himself, what is all this for? Therefore, a man can be strong, successful, respected, and at the same time feel an emptiness that he cannot explain in words. From an early age, women learn to feel, to read, to notice, to maintain connections. For a long time, their value was measured not by results, but by their ability to maintain relationships, space, warmth. But she is rarely taught to set boundaries and ask herself, where am I going? Therefore, a woman can be loving, caring, and profound, and yet feel exhausted, as if her life is passing her by. When a man is alone for a long time, his movement begins to lose direction. He continues to walk, but does not feel that it is leading anywhere. He fills his life with tasks, work, goals, but at some point he realizes that all these goals are empty containers. When a woman remains alone for a long time, her sensitivity becomes focused on herself. Her emotions begin to go round in circles. Her anxiety intensifies, meaning dissolves. A man without a woman often does not know what he feels. A woman without a man often feels too much. And this is where the encounter occurs. Not romantic, not beautiful, but existential. A man brings direction to a relationship. A woman brings depth. He sees the world as a task. She sees it as a process. He asks, what should we do next? She asks why. And it is between these questions that meaning is born. A woman next to a man becomes a mirror of his inner state. She often feels what he has not yet realized. A man next to a woman becomes a point of support. He structures the space in which her feelings do not tear her apart from within. It's not about roles. It's about balance. When this balance is missing, both begin to distort. The man becomes rigid, detached, mechanical. The woman becomes anxious, dissolved, tired of the constant feeling that she is holding the world on her shoulders. People often think that love is a strong feeling. But love is not a feeling. It is a process of mutual support. It is when a man learns to stop and feel, and when a woman learns to move and choose. The most painful crises in relationships do not arise from infidelity or conflict. They arise when a man ceases to be a direction and a woman ceases to be a space. When both are present, but absent for each other. The modern world teaches people to be self-sufficient. Not to need. Not to depend. Not to get attached. But there is a difference between independence and loneliness. A man and a woman are not about who needs whom. It's about different ways of being alive. And that's why they so often hurt each other. Because it's not two perfect people who meet, but two different ways of coping with reality. And perhaps the greatest tragedy of our time is not that men and women break up. It is that they cease to understand why they were together in the first place. The man begins to think that the woman is interfering with his life. The woman begins to think that the man does not hear her, and both fail to notice the main thing. They have ceased to be what they were to each other. Not a support, not a reflection, not a direction, not a depth. Just two tired people who once tried to become whole through each other. A man cannot live long without meaning. A woman cannot live long without connection. And as long as one runs forward and the other holds on to the past, they will lose each other. But when a man dares to be not only strong, but also alive, and a woman dares to be not only sensitive, but also decisive, what emerges between them is not dependence. It is a meeting. And perhaps that is why, despite the pain, fear, and disappointment, men and women seek each other out again and again. Not because they cannot be alone, but because they become real when they are together. And if you ever feel that you can do without the other, you may be right. But the question is not whether you can. The question is who you become when you choose to be alone. Pause, because sometimes a person is not what they are on their own, but who they become when they are with another.